Hello, friends. Uh, Today we will see something about tribal literature and paper entitled "A Sense of Segregation in Tribal Literature: A Critical Study of Bhujang Meshram." We know that Bhujang Meshram is one of the important poets, tribal literature of Maharashtra, and he has written many books, many poems, especially Ulgulan. Ulgulan is an anthology of revolutionary poems which reveals the deeper anguish and arduous life of Adivasi people. Ulgulan has implied meaning, which means a rebel against the established system. The entire anthology it opposes the established order, and especially this word has historical background. It comes from the struggle of Birsa Munda's existentialist movement of indigenous culture. Especially that Ulgulan is a name that was the movement it started by Birsa Munda in Jharkhand, and poet has very much influence from the ideology of Birsa Munda, and because of that, this anthology entitled in the name of Ulgulan. Especially, Adivasi literature in Maharashtra developed in post-independent India after 1960s because a lot of transformation has been brought out after the independence. Those were from away from the development, those were deprived section of the class. They came in the main flow and started to express their expression, and Ulgulan it may be one of the expressions of the suppressed mind. The great legacy and main source of inspiration comes from humanistic philosophies of the world. The poems introspects and underlines quest for identity, seeking a question that who is responsible behind their degradation. And poet tries to answer the question by observing certain things. The new economic policies devastated their culture and existence. Their domicile is under extremely in danger because of multinational, multi-purpose projects. The Adivasi tribal people migrated, tribal people affected, and the the mechanism which is to be required to redress all these things, it has not unleashed by the government, and because of that it makes a very traumatic expression on the mind of tribal people. Therefore poets calls to establish order of their double standard approach for understanding their problems, and even it makes pungent comment of hypocritical approach of the apathetic world. They are not that much interested to understand the problems of the tribal people. They have double standard mechanism, and because of that apathetic word, that word as used by a poet in his poems. Revitalizing the spirit of humanistic movement is one of the objectives behind the creation of the Ulgulan. To awaken, to address the people, to make the people aware about their injustice is one of the important objectives behind the creation of the Ulgulan. Poems of Ulgulan surveys from Indus Valley civilization, because the Indus Valley civilization is the oldest civilization of, we can say, in the earth or in Indian continent, and poet the tries to seek miserable plight of all the tribal people in today's scenario. And this is very important to understand how the poet makes historical recordings, historical evidences behind their today's miserable plight. It is an interrogative survey that puts shocking historical reality up front. It reveals that poet has deep affinity with the oldest civilization, that is Mozandaro and Harappa culture. And it explains that how foreign Aryan destroyed the culture of innocent people and tactfully segregated them from the main settlement and painted them as uncivilized demon, black dog, snake, etc. He feels that people have been living in segregated place. It is the part of conspiracy because voluntarily no one is willing to live in such a segregated area, but you just observe that the people of Adivasi tribe, they dwell in a hilly areas, and because of that the poet tries to seek answer from this the one of the oldest civilization of the earth. In Ulgulan, poet expresses deep grief towards the policies of the government and attitude. He bitterly criticizes the approach of government when any foreign guests come to visit India at the time. The government conceal the real status because they they don't want to show the negative image of India. And in contrary, the poet raises certain doubts, and he says that in contrary, government organizes half-naked Adivasi people's dance, calling it India's culture. So how we can justiciable all these things? It outcries people of Adivasi community have been exhibited as a showpiece in the gallery of feudal society. This kind of pungent words vocabulary used by the poet. It criticizes the media, even media bypassing the real issue. Those are distractor. They have been given media coverage on the front page. That is a most unfortunate thing in the democratic setup of any nation. But real protector has been bypassed systematically. It makes comments that media is busy with their cooked and baked agenda for getting TRP. That is most unfortunate things in regards to the uh, journalism, journalist ethics, and therefore poet addresses certain questions, certain fundamental ideas, and it is very thought provoking, we can say. Poet laments that Eklavya is a historical victim of feudal mindset of the society and questions about modern Dronacharya who may be approached to you in any form. Because there are many modern Dronacharya, they may be dwell around you, so be careful. Even these poems addresses the issue of nationalism and how Adivasi youth have been skulking in a double way. Government arrests them calling Naxalite, and Naxalites kill them calling the informer of the government. In two ways, they are becoming subject of exploitation. The government of country should understand the intensity of the problem and work for their betterment. And the proper rehabilitation has should be unleashed for the proper settlement of these people, because new economic policies of the country laid disastrous impact on the lifestyles of the Adivasi people. Poet raises the question, if social justice is not possible in a new economic policy, then what is the use of word socialist in the constitution? This is, in a true sense, this question is valid because socialism should be nurtured and it should have a special status in democracy. But unfortunately, if it is not being addressed, it is not being to incorporate the problems of the people, definitely it is not a good thing. I can conclude it in a sense that uh, incorporation of Adivasi people is needed in the main flow of development. That is the basic statement from this presentation. And this research paper emphasizes the need of comprehensive growth for the sustainable development of the society. And by segregating these sons of soil, it could lead towards a hollow development, and eventually it would widen disparity further. And that is not in the interest of the nation. So, what in sense, eventually, even NGOs should stop interference in Adivasi culture under the name of cultural preservation. Protection of indigenous people is the hallmark of civilization because they are the first person of this soil. And from the government side, full-blown attempt should be made from government side for the preservation of folklore. And right now, folklore language is extremely endangered, and because of that, that there should be a special mechanism. There should be some parameters to address heterogeneous aspects and culture of this indigenous people. Unflinching and unwavering support should be extended for the protection of Adivasi people's livelihood because under the name of Forest Act, the government is trying to snatch that natural property that is their forest, and if the forest has been taken away from them, definitely their livelihood is under threat. So that should be stopped, and somehow there should be a proper structure to understand, and because their life it is based on their forest, and they are living there since the human civilization. That care should be taken care and addressed. It is needed to rewire rotten social structure. These people cannot left in large. And finally, discrimination over caste, gender, class, religion becomes the dermatological wound for the society. For that, intellectuals, academicians, author, administrative officers should come forward and must pay attention for the sustainable development of the society. Then we can have dream of India as a superpower. Otherwise, it will remain just like hallucination. So this is about Ulgulan, uh, anthology by Bhujang Meshram. These are the few references that cited in the research, and thank you for patiently listening. So this is about my research topic. Now